Hey guys, it's poppin', Jacques Slade here, and this is your first look at the Nike Joyride Run Flyknit. All right, first things first, let's get the basics out of the way. This is a brand new shoe coming from Nike. It's gonna cost $180, and it's actually available right now for Nike members, but if you're not a Nike member, it will actually go on sale later in August, and you'll be able to cop a pair for $180. The official name of the shoe is the Nike Joyride Run FK, which obviously stands for Flyknit, something that they've been using for a long time now. And this is really Nike's first attempt, or I guess I should say another attempt at Nike trying to create a running shoe for the masses. This is the first model in that new campaign, and as the name implies, it has Flyknit and it also has Joyride, which is Nike's new cushioning technology. If you are a fan of Nike, you know that they've went through tons of different cushioning technologies. There's Lunar, there's Zoom X if you are a runner. There's the newest one to the family, which is React, which is something that I actually run in. And then there's also Air, which is the big one that's been around since I believe 1979. Joyride is obviously the newest kid on the block, and it's a completely new technology for Nike. It uses these small little beads that are inside of these pods that fit inside of the midsole of the shoe. Now, for those of you that are familiar with sneaker technologies in general, this is very similar to what we saw Puma do with the Jammin', but in their situation, they used one long pod underneath the shoe, whereas Nike actually uses individual pods under the midsole, the heel, and at the forefoot. The beads are actually made out of TPE, which according to Tiffany Beers is a mixture of plastic and rubber. Basically what they do is they combine those two compounds and it makes the plastic more elastic. The technical name is thermoplastic elastomer. And before you guys jump down in the comments and start typing, what about Boost? Well, Boost actually uses urethane. It's a thermoplastic urethane, whereas the Joyride is an elastomer, which is thermoplastic elastomer, which creates that responsiveness. Now, speaking of responsiveness, it's being reported that these beads, the Joyride, is 15% more responsive or provides more energy return than React. Keeping that responsiveness and that energy return in mind, that makes you think, well, who are these shoes actually for? And after talking to some people at Nike and giving these shoes just a little quick walk around the house earlier today, I feel like this is something that could really work for everyone, but not for the same reasons. If you are a serious runner, this is something I could see you using on a recovery run or a run where you want to take it easier and you're not really worried about that stress on your feet. This will provide a little bit of relief in that area. If you are not a runner and you don't want to run in a traditional shoe, which tend to be a little bit more firm, this is definitely softer and a little bit more responsive, so you don't necessarily have to work as much during the run, if that makes sense. It's not going to make the run necessarily easier, but it's definitely not as hard on your body. Having worn the shoes just a little bit this morning, it kind of reminds me of the Nike Free. If you've ever worn the Nike Frees from years ago, you will notice that they have like this soft, smooth ride, and with these shoes, it almost takes that to another level where the cushioning and the comfort is taken up a notch with these shoes. One interesting detail about these shoes that I found out as soon as I put them on is that there is no sock liner, which gives you more feel for those beads that are inside of those pods. And I believe it's a sculpted Strobel board in there as well, because there's a bit of a bump or a ride in the middle of the shoe that you feel as soon as you put the shoes on. And if you are really sensitive, you can actually feel the differences in the pods in the shoe. In this particular shoe, the Run, there are 3 different pods. There's one at the heel, one at the ball of your foot, and then there's another one at the toe, but each one is separated by the foam that they use on the midsole. Speaking of the pods, there's actually 3 of them, and the heel has the most beads in it because that's where people typically land when they are running, even though that's technically not where you should land. It's pretty bad for your back, but if you land on your foot like this when you're running, you have that protection or that impact protection from the beads at the heel. But then when you move to the pods at the ball of your foot, there's less beads there because they're more concerned with the roll or the ride when you're running, your heel to toe transition. And then again, when you get to the toe, there's even less beads there. So again, at the heel, there's more beads, the ball of your foot, there's less beads, and then the least amount is at the toe. In practice, the Flyknit feels like everything we've expected from Flyknit for the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years. So there is really no difference there. When it comes to the cushioning, it's definitely soft, very responsive, and you feel it right away as soon as you put your foot inside of the shoe. Durability wise, there is a lot of rubber on the outsole, but I don't see these getting worn down very often, especially if you're going to use these for a recovery run. Those don't happen as often as your regular runs, so you won't be wear and tearing and putting these on the streets as much. And if you're a new runner, you're probably not going to be running as much as a serious runner, so you won't have to worry about wearing these down either. There's these orange rubber pads on the outsole, on the heel, and at the toe. And even at the toe, they have some additional little knobs of rubber as well that are translucent to help protect the beads. So today I'm actually going to go to a Nike event and actually give these a proper wear test, but I did want to give you guys just a brief overview of the shoe. This is the first model that is going to launch. This is the Joyride Run, but there's 4 or 5 different models that are going to launch as well. There's a kids version that's going to launch, and Nike even has a sportswear version of these that are going to launch as well. And I believe those will be priced right around $200, whereas there's a takedown model that's going to cost you about $140. Either way, let me know down in the comments below what you think about the shoes, what you think about the technology. Is it intriguing to you? Is it interesting? Let me know. This is your first look at the Nike Joyride Run FK or Flyknit. They're $180. They launched today for Nike members or later in August for retail, again at $180. As always, I'm Jacques Slade. Make sure you turn on your notifications. That way you know whenever something is happening right here, and I'll see you guys soon.